Hello, and welcome back to Hempfield Happenings. I'm Noah Valley.
And I'm Carter Gingrich.
This month, we are focusing on the legacies that Hempfield students and teachers have formed in our community.
From hosting their own food drive to celebrating 75 years since the graduation of the class of 1949, there is so much that Hempfield students and graduates do for the community.
First up, Alyssa Abo took a trip to a local Hempfield scouting troop, which goes door to door collecting food in the community each November, showcasing a legacy of generosity.
Over to Caleb's neighborhood. Okay, we'll do Caleb's neighborhood.
Holidays are certainly a season of giving, especially food to those in need. Here at Lancaster, PA, Boy Scouts of America are diligent in going door to door to ask and collect food donation, as well as packing them to be sent to local food banks and families.
So scouting for food is it's where we collect food around different neighborhoods around the country. Today we're doing Mountville, Pennsylvania, and so we collect food that people put out. So it's the Scouts BSA, which is the scouting organization worldwide. Each of the different troops in the districts around the country are responsible for their own. So we do ours here, Troop 349 in Mountville.
Within the troop, there are scouts who are also students in the Hempfield School District. They have roles assigned to them that require leading the other members of their tight-knit group.
So I'm SPL. And that means that I'm like the head of the girls troop, and I've been doing scouting for food for as long as I've been here, which is about 4 years with this troop.
My role in the troop is ASPL, that stands for Assistant Senior Patrol Leader. So basically I'm like one of the second in commands to Adam, our SPL, who's not here today.
One of the things I can kind of do here is just help do my job, make sure everything's running smoothly, make sure some of our newer scouts who might not be as experienced with this understand what's going on.
So they give you maps for each place that you need to go, and they split up like the neighborhoods among different troops. So then they give you a map of your neighborhood, and you go around and put flyers on doors first, and then about a week later is the pickup, which is what we're doing right now.
They're going through, they're sorting it, and they're separating the food that's expired and then the food that it's not expired, and then that's what we're boxing up and we're taking to the food bank. It's an annual thing. It's always in November. So it's always the first weekend is in November is where we put out the flyers to tell people to put it out the next weekend, and then it's always the second weekend is when we do the pickup and the collection. We usually weigh it at the end, or as we're taking it down to the food bank. So the last couple of years from our troop, we're usually getting about 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of food, which is a pretty good amount. That's when you know you have a really good year.
Besides getting their service hours, scouts are also motivated because of community interactions and the impact that they make.
My favorite part is probably when I go up to a door and I get the food, and like if there's a person just standing there talking with them, acknowledging them, they're normally like saying, "Hey, thanks for doing this, this is a great thing." And I'm like, yeah, it really is, and that's what makes me like doing this.
You can just see like that the people around the neighborhood just really care about the people that we're trying to help. And this is the only way that some people get full meals in this time of year, and I'm really grateful that I have the opportunity to help them out with that.
Oh, I think it's definitely important because this way people can get more involved in donating to food banks because it's just easier because not many people know like how to donate to a food bank or like where to go or what food banks are in the area. So if they just get a flyer on their door telling them when to put their bags out, that way they don't have to drive to the food bank, they don't have to figure out when.
All the efforts of the Scouts and generosity of the local community is what fills up the plates and the hearts of those people in need to make their days complete. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Alyssa Abo.
Scouting for Food started in the 1980s and has been growing in popularity ever since.
Now for another charity involving students, Bryce J. Jordan looked into how students are working to turn their talents into making the world a better place. In this case, baking, displaying a legacy of charity.
Thousands of people learn how good it feels to help the community every single day, but one high schooler started a nonprofit to do it her way. Through baking.
Baking for Better is a registered and trademark 501c3 charity. So with the help of my friends, I make and sell baked goods at different events across Lancaster, and we donate every penny to a different charity each time. We'd actually read a book in 6th grade. It was called Free Lunch, and it talked about all these kids who didn't have the financial resources to be able to eat all the time and that their families were struggling, and it kind of resonated with me, and I just thought about those people that aren't as fortunate and I wanted to help them.
Feeding the impoverished is a noble deed, but why is it so important to these bakers?
I help Alex. I make a bunch of different baked goods, give them to her, and then we go to different sales. I like baking. I think it's really fun. It's therapeutic. And I like helping out in that way, and then it's for a really good cause, so I like to go along and see how much money we can raise. It's really nice to make something and then get to eat it, and it's really good, but it's even better to give it to somebody else and they can enjoy it.
Running a nonprofit is a difficult task, but Alex has someone who lightens the load.
I'm Alex's support system. I help to do baking when she's busy. I help her when she has questions about the financials. I try to advertise for her by asking people about venues when sometimes she needs a venue. She has a lot of people that have helped out with it. I actually think it's really helped her become more self-sufficient, manage time better. I think it's made her a better person just knowing that it's important to give to people and to recognize the important things that are happening in the world and know that she could be a part of helping. She is more aware of what's going on in the world.
There's a certain amount of pride involved in charity. Enriching the community, it feels good to make the world a better place. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Bryce J. Jordan.
Baking for Better's first donation was to a local food bank, and their net impact has been over $21,000 since it was founded just a few years ago.
Next, Ace Brown investigated a Hempfield alum who is now well into the business world, displaying a legacy of entrepreneurship.
From a Hempfield student to a sports card entrepreneur, Andrew Brown has turned his hobby into a thriving business.
Andrew's passion for sports, combined with his family's history in card collecting, sparked his journey into the business.
Well, I've always had a passion for sports, whether it's basketball, football, or baseball. And my grandfather collected cards when he was younger for a long time in the 80s and 90s. And then at a family reunion about a year ago, I got into a long discussion with my brother and my uncle about sports cards because he was a huge collector and owned a shop in the 80s. And so I think just getting back into it and realizing that there's a market for this stuff and that I really enjoyed doing it. Like, I like cards, I like collecting them, but then also realizing that, wow, I can build a bigger collection by also building a business.
While Andrew's passion for sports and business is key, his motivation to work for himself and connect with the community drives him to turn his idea into reality.
I think my biggest motivation was honestly just being able to do work for myself. I've never been someone that likes working for other people. I like doing things that are self-rewarding while also having a community that, I think the special thing about ABReps is I have a community of and a customer base that I'm able to interact with on a daily basis, whether it's talking sports, cards, new releases, stuff like that. And I think the big motivation is just being able to work for myself while also having a community that I can communicate and interact with and just meet new people and a bunch of cool people that I've met over the past year. I think that's the biggest motivation.
Despite his passion and motivation, balancing time between running a business and being a full-time college student has been one of Andrew's biggest challenges.
So I think one of the biggest challenges, honestly, is balancing school and the business. So I'm still a full-time college student pursuing a double major in marketing and economics, and I also am going after a management minor as well. So I have a lot on my plate when it comes to school as well as running a business pretty much full-time.
Andrew credits classes like sports marketing and teachers like Mr. Hanusa for giving him the business foundation that shaped his entrepreneur mindset.
I had a lot of great teachers. I'm going to shout out Mr. Hanusa right now because he was super influential. I took a marketing class with him, a few marketing classes actually, sports marketing as well as a couple other business classes. And he was super influential on me just when it comes to business.
It's always rewarding for a teacher to hear a former student credit them for their success.
Well, there's a lot of pride that comes out of that. And like I said earlier, I think he's probably giving me more credit than I deserve. And that's all right. It's very nice of him. I appreciate it. He's a great person, great student.
Andrew's mentors see incredible potential in ABReps.
So I think there's a lot of room for him to keep growing and expanding and getting to a point where he's going to need to hire employees even at some point. So I think there's a lot of room to grow.
If he can spend more time doing it, I think that he can definitely grow it and be a name that's recognized in the industry.
Andrew aims to make ABReps a full-time business and one of the biggest card businesses in the U.S. through hard work and dedication.
I hope to be able to make the business a full-time job. That's obviously the end goal. We want to make this thing one of the biggest card businesses in the United States. We know it's a slow grind to get there, and we're going to keep pushing. And I think in the next 5 years, with a lot of hard work, we can get there.
Andrew's journey from a Hempfield student to a thriving entrepreneur shows the power of passion, hard work, and a community. With ABReps, he's turning his love for sports and cards into a growing business. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Ace Brown.
There you go. This is for you.
Earlier, Andrew mentioned that he took the Hempfield High School business classes to prepare for his future. We took this to the Hempfield student body to see what electives they're taking to prepare for their futures. It turns out that Andrew isn't alone, with 21% of students here saying that they're taking electives in the business department. However, the top response was the science electives, with 44% of students saying that those will help in their careers. With that, Noah spoke with a few educators in the business department to see what kind of classes are available for students to enroll in.
Isn't Mr. Chris Hanusa to talk about how the business department here at Hempfield is paving the way for students' legacies here and to come. So can each of you tell me a little bit about how the business department works in terms of the courses you offer for students?
Well, I just teach the accounting classes and the entrepreneurship class, and I'll let Mr. Wise fill you in on the rest.
On top of entrepreneurship and accounting, we also offer finance. We offer courses at Microsoft Office, marketing.
So, as you mentioned, your entrepreneurship classes encourage students to create their own businesses. And are there any that stood out to you for the last few years?
The one that actually kicked everything off was probably the paddle battle invention that Aiden Byler and Keith Greer came up with. What's fun is since this class, they've gone off and created their own businesses on their own. And we've had some other really successful ones over the years. Something called Any Case was really fun, won some money in competitions, and now we've got really 3 products this year I'm really excited for, and it'll be so fun to see where they go with them.
And then I also know that both of you advise the FBLA Club, which stands for Future Business Leaders of America. How does this enhance students' success beyond high school?
So there's a few ways this enhances their success. We have one element that we call a competition side. There's a local, a state, and a national level where students can compete in a variety of topics ranging from marketing, management, agribusiness, accounting, management information systems, and approximately 40 other topics of their choice. And if they advance, they can see how they do at these different levels. Mr. H will share a little bit more about what we do in-house here.
Then within the house, we like to bring in a lot of guest speakers, which is a way for our students to be able to build connections within our community. Hempfield has a wonderful community with lots of very successful business people.
And then what place would either of you recommend for people to start their own business?
Don't quit. If it's a problem, find the solution. No solution is going to be easy, but if you invest the time and the effort, you might get to that final product, the $1 million idea, and if not, you might be a part of a different $1 million idea. But it takes time, effort, and an idea.
The holiday season has begun, and gift giving is a key element of the festivities, especially for families. While the holiday season brings lots of cheer, according to the Ramsey Solutions State of Personal Finance 2022 Quarter 3 report, the average family spends $1,300 on Christmas. Depending on prices and amount of children, this amount can fluctuate. Many may have trouble providing the Christmas they want to give to their loved ones.
Toys for Tots is a national organization, and its motto is a year-round force for good. So our goal is to come into communities, underprivileged families, and help them, come alongside them so that they can be successful. So what we're most known for is our toy drive programs at Christmas time. So we gather toys, our community comes together, and we give them out to families. And we have more than 3,000 families who are registered, and we give to about 17,000 kids in the community.
All workers at the Lancaster Toys for Tots distribution are volunteers. However, Mara Bregelman has her own reasons for being such a crucial part of this volunteer group.
So for me, volunteering is very important. I have 4 children, 2 of whom are hard of hearing and wear bilateral hearing aids. And when I was young, my husband and I were in our early 20s. We had 4 children under the age of 5. Single income, I had the privilege of being a stay-at-home mom. Hearing aids were $8,000, and that wasn't something that we could afford. And we got called one day from our church, and someone had written us a check for $8,000. And so we were able to buy our child's first hearing aids with that money. And so from then, that changed our life view, changed our worldview, and ever since that day, our family's mission has been to give back as much as we can to the community.
Good deeds can really change people's lives. Students within the Anchor Club at Hempfield High School also noticed how they are making a difference in the Hempfield area.
My favorite part about Anchor Club is helping the community grow and flourish, as well as just attending events that I wouldn't get to go to had I not been a volunteer. I think Toys for Tots helps families because it takes a big stressor off the parents for not worrying about what their children want and just being able to cover all the basis of needs.
Volunteering can truly help others and be beneficial for your own good. Anchor Club is a great way for students at Hempfield to become more involved in the community, and it shows.
Our high schoolers do such an amazing job at Toys for Tots, and there is zero way I could run this organization without their service. And a lot of times I think that generation gets a bad rap, but I'm here to say they're super good kids, and we love them and couldn't do it without them. So keep volunteering.
The holiday season is really all about giving, and Anchor Club students really show how they provide others with their volunteering, especially at events like Toys for Tots. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Katie Kriva.
Students' legacy of volunteerism is crucial to the success of both the school and the local community.
Well, I'm feeling a bit cramped in the studio. I'm going to go take a lap around the high school and share some highlights that didn't quite make it into the show. Recently, Hempfield choir students got the chance to audition for the Pennsylvania Music Educator Association District 7 Choir Festival. 7 Hempfield students were accepted into this prestigious event. The Hempfield Black Knights Marching Band earned their first gold medal finish at the Cavalcade of Bands Marching Band Championships in 5 years, as well as sweeping the awards for different visual and musical performance responsibilities. The Hempfield football team was able to reach the playoffs after missing them last season. Congrats to all players, coaches, and fans on a successful season. The girls' volleyball team is also celebrating a successful playoff reach, being Lancaster Lebanon League, Section 1, and District 3 champs. Great job, Knights. Rising athlete and LMS student Lucas Miltz participated in the Pennsylvania Special Olympics Fall Festival at Villanova University, where he took home both a silver and a gold medal. Multiple high school students were recognized by College Board as being National Merit Scholarship commended students. Well, I better head back up to the studio. All right, let's get back on track.
Thanks, Carter. We have many former students who have gone on to do great things. Allison Rainier spoke with Nina de Vitry, who is currently a professional musician living in Nashville, Tennessee, displaying a legacy in the performing arts.
Hempfield High School's orchestra room, or where Nina de Vitry started her entire music education. She's gone from this orchestra room to touring with big artists such as Noah Kahan and writing her own music.
Tour schedules can be very vigorous, but Nina has a good routine to help her stay consistent and less stressed.
So if it's a show day, I wake up at whatever time has given me 8 hours of sleep. So maybe the night before I went to bed at 2 a.m. because the show ended really late and I got back to the hotel and had to wind down, or I got on the tour bus and couldn't fall asleep till 1 or 2, whatever. So wake up sometime early to mid-morning. I always on tour especially try to have a routine with doing like some stretching and yoga in the morning, keeping up with my like voice lesson stuff. So I'll do like vocal warm-ups and make sure I'm not only ready to like sing that day, but also warm up my voice.
Nina enjoys going on walks in each city that she travels to for tour. This helps her get fresh air, relax, and enjoy the views of the city.
And then usually by the time it's like noon or 1, we will, if we're not already on the bus and parked at the venue that morning, if we're at a hotel, we'll, have a ride over to the venue, have some lunch, have a sound check, maybe even like play some basketball or ping pong or something fun to, keep us all like feeling good. And eventually it's, the time just goes so fast. Eventually it's dinner time. And then you got to suit up, put your stuff on for the show. We always do a group warm up. Sometimes I do like some more personal practice and get my individual instruments to make sure I'm feeling ready on each one. And then we have the show.
Having someone to look up to, whether a famous musician like Nina or a family member, is very beneficial for current orchestra students.
I guess because my brother plays, I keep playing.
According to Data USA, 39.5% of 103,017 people that have become famous musicians since 2022 were women, revealing how truly challenging it is to do something as successful as Nina has.
I think all of the people in my life who have supported me and encouraged me have led me to having more success in my life. Primarily my parents have always been extremely encouraging. Growing up, they always surrounded the family with music and would take us to music lessons and music festivals and things like that. I also credit my music educators that I had growing up.
Ultimately, success in the music industry is very difficult, and Nina has been able to accomplish so much in her career. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Allison Rainier.
Nina also loves to explore the areas in the city that she's performing in.
Finally, 2024 marks 75 years since the graduation of the class of 1949. With their class reunion this year, Chris Decker investigated what the Hempfield school system looked like back then, displaying a legacy of legacies.
Okay. 1949 was 75 years ago. What have its graduates done since then?
The class of 1949 had their class reunion on October 24th.
So we got a phone call a couple months ago from Martha with the class of 1949 asking if we were able to host their luncheon here in the boardroom, which was their former high school here in the admin building.
The class of 1949, otherwise known as the 49ers, were a class of 39 people, 7 of which were in attendance at the reunion.
I was honored to be there because it was great to hear their stories, to hear all their fond memories that they had. They were so welcoming and just so appreciative of us hosting them, and it was great to hear their stories, the names of their teachers, the activities that they participated in. They really had really vivid memories of their time here at Hempfield, and they were all very positive, and they were great to hear.
One of these so-called 49ers was Millersville University biology professor and Navy veteran Ken Miller.
When they heard that we were
going to have a reunion. We were invited by Dr. Bromorski. He's the superintendent, and he invited us to come over for luncheon to the high school. Actually, it was our high school. It was the administration building, or it is the administration building today. Behind our luncheon table was the stage where we received our diplomas back in 1949. So we were hosted there by the superintendent and given a short tour of the building, which hasn't, the structure of that building hasn't changed since 1949. Now the layout inside, what used to be the typing room is now one of the offices, and so on. As you go down the hallway, the rooms are still in the building, but they're changed. But the basic structure has not changed at all, and it was a pleasure to see that. Things haven't changed in some ways.
I think one of the things to stress is again, just how much they loved their time here at Hempfield. It seemed like life was so simple when they attended here. They shared lots of their activities and what they participated in, and were just very appreciative of their time here at Hempfield.
You guys have a big school. We had, I think there were 250 in our school. There were 39 in our graduating class. And we had this reunion that we had last week. There were 8 actually. One of them was not there. He's sick. But the class of 39 has dwindled in 3/4 of a century. Has dwindled to 8 people.
In the time since Ken has graduated, 2 massive European countries split up, Germany was reunited, multiple African countries gained independence, the United States gained 2 more states, and China became communist.
I had 2 reunions since I've graduated from here, and I'm hopeful that when my 75th reunion comes, many years from now, that we can have one very similar to the class of 1949.
I graduated in 49, and that was 75 years ago. And I spent a couple of years carpentering, learned the trade of carpentering. Then the Korean War came along, and I enlisted in the Navy. I was in the Navy for 4 years. Even I went to Penn State and did my graduate work, and then after a year and a half came back to Millersville and spent the next 33 years teaching biology at Millersville University.
Much has changed since 1949, including the people. Maybe one day I'll be on the other side of this camera, but who's to say? From Hempfield Happenings, I'm Chris Decker.
Seek out the good things and they will come to you.
From successful alumni to students' generosity, Hempfield is overwhelming with success in regards to both career and character achievement.
Thank you for tuning in to this month's episode of Hempfield Happenings, where we explored student and alumni legacies, and we hope to see you again for our next edition in January.